The other day I was in the grocery store and get very interesting about this jam jar. What I like to know is how I can model the skirt looking things in the Rhino 3D. So let's make it into a charm today. Hi everyone, welcome back to PJ Chen Design Channel. This channel is about to share Rhino knowledge to students and 3D model professionals learning various Rhino 3D technique. Are you ready? Let's get started. Like every other of our tutorial, I always like to take a look on the structure. So if you go to Google, type in jam jar, and you're going to see a lot of the image like that. Basically, they are very cylinder, and on the bottom of the jar, it might be a little bit rounded. On the top, since we're gonna put the skirt looking things on the top, it doesn't matter, what the top ending look like, but most of the time on the top, the cap, in between the cap and the skirt, there will be something going in a little bit. So we're gonna use those reference to model with. Let's go back to Rhino. I don't want my jar is way too big because it's going to be a charm. So what I like to do is I'm going to snapping into the 0 with my polygon curve, and then I'll kind of go something like this to draw roughly how tall that is. If you have your smart track on, you can snapping into the point and holding your shift, so that will snapping back to the center. Before I actually revolve it, I would like to make them a little bit radius. So give them a little bit fillet. So let's go to radius 1.5. That doesn't matter that much on the top because it's gonna be covered. The one on the bottom, let's make it bigger. Let's say 3 here, and the one on the very bottom, let's say 2 here. So we kind of have it a little bit rounded body. Okay. I think this might be a little bit too big, so I'm going to move it in with my control point so they are not way too fat. Okay, so once it becomes the surface, it will be about less than 10 millimeter. Okay, all right, so the next step, let's go to the surface, revolve from this point to this point, and then we want to revolve 360 degree. So let's take a look on our jar here. Okay, that look nice. All right, now next step, we're going to make skirt. So let me go to the other layer and let me lock it the black one. All right, so we won't accidentally to touch it. Okay, so let's go to the top. I'm going to draw a circle snapping into the 0, and since it's skirt, so it will be slightly bigger, so I'm gonna click it right here. If I turn on control point, there's not much for me to edit, so I'm going to rebuild this curve, and that's turn it into 12. Okay, and then with that, I'm gonna select all the point, like every other point, whoops, like this, and then I'm going to bring it up. All right, so you kind of see they are getting a little bit more wave, and where's on the top, I also want them to flare out a little bit, so it will be something like this. And you can get few try to get the best result that you like. Let's go ahead and make another curve, and again, it's outside skin, right? So slightly bigger than the jar. And then I'm gonna move it up a little bit. This is depends on like how tall you want your skirt to be. Then let's go ahead to copy this one that we just make on the bottom. Make a copy by dragging the gumball and hit the Alt key, and let's make it smaller on the second one that we have. All right, so if we take a look on this, we'll have those curve here. I'm just gonna temporarily to turn my jar off so it's easier for you to see. Okay, so in order to giving a little bit wave, and they are not just like straight line coming down, I'm going to move it, the second one, the one in the middle, by offset it angle a little bit. So we have a circle is 360 degree and I have 12 points, so each point in between is 30 degrees, so let's move it 15 degree like that. Okay, so let's give it a try. The command we're gonna use is called Loft. We're gonna select all three of them, make sure the arrow is all in line. That look really cute. Okay, I think this one will work. All right, so next what I'm going to do, just simply scale it down and then hit Alt key so you have a copy there. The one on the bottom need to go a little bit lower, so we'll do something like this. Okay, I think this should work fine. Let's go to the blend tool. Make sure chain age auto chain equal yes, then we want to click on here and here, so we'll have this really nice and rounded edges. We just don't want it to be like too dramatic, so something like this will be fine, and we click OK. All right, so now we close that part. We need to close the inside as well, so let's go to this surface from planar curves, and let's close the one inside first. Okay, and let's close the one outside as well. All right, and let's just join all of them. So now this become a solid. Let's take a look how we do. Let's turn on the jar and move this up a little bit. Okay, it looked like our skirt is kind of small, so let's just make it a little bit bigger. All right, cute. Okay, let's move it down. All right, so now I'm looking at it, I feel like I do not like this curve that much there. So a little trick I'm going to show you today is by using the gumball. If you holding the Control Shift key and then you clicking on either the edge or the surface, so let's click on the surface. Okay, and then you can release Control and Shift key. Now that's holding the Shift key and scale it down, you can actually scale down and rest of it will follow. Okay, and I think this is a little bit too much, so I may need to go back just a little bit. Okay, the one on the bottom, my jaw, actually I need to be this one to be a little bit tapered, so that way it doesn't show that much, it won't break my surface. So I'm going to hide it, my skirt, and then let's see what we can do with this. I guess we just need to remake this one, will be a lot more easier. So let's turn on the control point and let's move it in a little bit like this. Actually, it looked better. So go to the Revolve and click on the endpoint to the endpoint, 360 degree. All right, so let's turn on this again. All right, so let's keep editing. Again, I'm going to use the gumball, and then I'm gonna click on the surface. Now let's click on the interior surface. I think those are too big as well, so let's scale it down a little bit, and then let's click on outside a little bit, and then holding the shift, it will come in a little bit, so you can kind of tweak it just visually to see what you like. All right, back to our image right there. So you have the jaw, you're coming up and then you have this skirt wrapping around. It looked like we need to kind of showing there's a cap underneath it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I need to create another shape on the top and to make it look like it is, you know, coming in the middle. So the way I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make this even a little smaller. Okay, and then I'm going to pull it up by holding the control. Now this is critical. If you, let's go back one step. If you click on this surface with control and shift, and then you hold the control and then you drag this, you're only dragging the arrow. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to drag it and hold the control. That's the difference. Okay, you don't hold the control before you drag it. Now what I do is I adding an extra surface on top of it. Okay, and then I'm going to do one more time. Control shift with the gumball is on, drag it up, holding my control, then you have another surface that you create. All right, so what we like to do is do one more time, control shift, click on the surface, click on this surface, and also this surface and this surface. Okay, let's do scale, holding the shift and then move it up there. So now we have something like this. It look like we have we can tight something over there. All right, so let's take a look overall, and look like it's a little bit too tall, or we can scale it down something like this. Okay, all right, it looked good to me. You can keep tweaking until you get the form that you like, but so far I think I'm going to stick with it. I may need to make the cap a little bit taller just for aesthetic reason. Okay, so let's give it a fit at the edges. Let's say something really small, so when we cast we will have the better result. So let's do something really small here on all of them, all the edges there. And one more. Okay, all right. So now we are done with this. We need to work on the text. I'm going to delete those curves here. To work on the text is quite easy, and you probably see in my other tutorial really often. We are going to use the create UV curve. Then we want to create this into the UV curve. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna move it out a little bit. This is the area we can put any text. So I'm going to put the text right here. On my tutorial, I have PJ Jam, and I'm using the Cooper text. I think this is the preset on the Rhino. Okay, because it's Q for the Jam. In fact, I should do the solid and thickness. It doesn't have to be too thick, so let's say 0.6, and I'm gonna put it here. All right, now let's make this surface into this curve into the surface. All right, and just make sure I can intersect and I can balling it later. So I'm just gonna move this down just a little bit. So I have about like 0.4-ish millimeter stick it out, and rotate it just a little bit. We can also rotate it later. Okay, so let's hide the cap and let's do flow. Under the transform, you have flow along surface, and we're gonna pick up the object. Oh, before we do that, let's hit on record history, and let's go to transform, flow along surface, and then we pick up the gem text, then click on one of the corner, and then I would like to click on one of the corner here. Okay, it looked like it's in the right orientation, but it's a little bit too low. So since we were having the record history, so I'm just gonna move it, and this will move it with it, or you can rotate it for more angle, and let's bring the skirt back. All right. Okay, it looked good, and I can delete this one. Okay, all we need to do now is bowling all of them. You can make it into a pendant, or you can put a jumper in there for a charm. So for this tutorial, I'm just gonna put the jumper in right here and stick in there on the corner, so they will hanging, you know, in the angle. And then I'll just bowling. Please like and share and comments on my video. I especially want to thank my subscriber who is constantly coming back and watch my video and leave the comments for me. This is really helping on my ranking at YouTube, and that's the only way I can keep making free tutorial for everyone. Thank you. I'll see you next Monday.